Can I give you a classroom example that's
Yes,
perfect?
you can.
We do a lot of group work.
Okay.
Tons of group work. Always working in small groups. There is a child who does not want to work in groups.
Yeah.
Because he's afraid that people are going to pick on him.
Yep.
And he refuses to work in groups,
Yep.
no matter what group I put him in.
Exposure to your feared situations is the way you overcome them. But the most humane and effective way is to kind of do it in a stepwise, graduated fashion. Every young child is different, and I'm just going to kind of give you some illustrative examples of the types of things we might suggest trying. You'd want to find out what is it about it. So, for example, in your small groups, let's just say a small group is defined as 4 children. Okay?
Usually 4 to 5.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just 2.
Okay. Now, what would happen if the group was actually larger than that? So let's just say he or she would be in a group of 10 kids. Is that easier or more difficult than a smaller group?
The bigger the group is, the easier it is.
The easier it is, yeah. So we know, for example, he can be in a group the size of your classroom. So how big is that?
28.
Okay. So we know he can be in a group of 28, right? But we also know he can't be in a group of 4 or 5. So I would, try to experiment in some way, and I realize that logistically these things may not be too doable in your classroom or doable very often. But what if we were to ask, what if we did an activity where we combine small groups into larger groups? The idea is we know what he can't do, we know where we want him to be, and see how he tolerates that. The bottom line is he might tolerate a group of 9 or 10 just fine. Now we said, okay, now we're halfway home, and assuming he can tolerate that, then maybe you come up with something where you ask one of his group members to come over into the other group. So his group gets one person smaller, the other group gets one person bigger. And you just over time, and I don't necessarily mean over the same session, but over multiple days and weeks, months perhaps, we get him, we're shaping him closer and closer to being able to be okay and comfortable, which we want him to be, in a smaller group. So your starting point, you want to try to think of what would be challenging but manageable for this youngster. And you would always err really on the side of maybe making it a little easier versus more difficult, because you want it to be a positive, successful experience. Of course, what you can also be instructing this youngster to be doing is their breathing and their safety thinking. And if you know, again, that you're going to be doing a group activity at 1 o'clock, they could be starting these things at 12:45 in preparation for that.
Okay.
And then reinforce them for any efforts they make. I think there's probably some youngsters, that probably are kind of, you can sense it, they're kind of motivated, they wish they could get into that group. You can see them, they want to do it, but they can't. You can probably work in cahoots with them, so to speak, and you can probably do it very overtly. There's probably some youngsters that you want to be a little bit more covert with it. Somebody who maybe you fear might become overwhelmed with these attempts. Because, unfortunately, anybody, not even just young people, some people who are prone to be anxious, again, make errors in thinking. And even though you're telling them that you're going to be, they're going to be in 2 groups of 14, they jump to the,
Then all they hear is group.
Yeah.
They don't hear.
Right. And so with that kind of person, you probably don't really want to set the table for them beforehand. You just want to kind of let it go, because they may jump to the wrong conclusions.